All right, number 4 on the graphing side of the homework. All right, now number 4, both equations are in standard form, so each of these I'm going to do both ways so that depending on what method you like better, you can see both. All right, so faster way, standard form typically is finding the x and y intercepts by plugging in zeros. So I'll plug a 0 in for x. 7 times 0 plus 8y equals 64. That disappears. 8y is 64, so if I divide by 8, y equals 8. Okay, so we've got a y-intercept of 8. Now we plug a 0 in for y, so 7x plus 8 times 0 is 64. That cancels. Divide both sides by 7. Okay, this one's going to work out to a decimal, so let's see, or a fraction. I think a fraction would actually be easier. So 7 goes into 64 9 times with a remainder of 1, so 9 and 1/7. Okay, and we'll graph that in just a sec. All right, other option, if you don't like it and you're trying to stick to slope-intercept only, let's get y by itself and put in slope-intercept form. They're taking y, multiplying by 8, and then adding 7x. So if I reverse engineer everything, I'm going to subtract 7x from both sides. 8y equals 64 minus 7x. I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Y is alone. Right here I get 64 divided by 8, which is 8, minus, and 8 won't divide into 7, but that's the slope. I needed that as a fraction anyway, so it's going to be just 7 over 8. Okay. Either way I graph this, whichever method, I should get the same graph. So let's go to the graph now. So if I switch back over here and I use these intercepts, y-intercept of 0, 8, which would be right here, x-intercept of 9 and 1/7. So here I'm going to have to be careful. X-axis 9, and then 1/7 would just be a little bit more, like that. Okay, so we're going to get a line that goes right there. But before we graph that line, let's take a look at our other option here. We've got slope-intercept form. The y-intercept would be 8, which I've already done. And the slope would be rise negative 7, run positive 8. So from here, rise negative 7, run positive 8, which would put me right there. Okay. But notice how all 3 points line up, despite using 2 different methods. So when I line it up, there's that graph. Okay, so now there was a second equation, also in standard form. So again, I'm going to do it both ways. So again, for those of you using the zeros trick, plug a 0 in for x. 0 disappears. Divide both sides by 4. Y equals 3. Plug a 0 in for y. 4 times 0 disappears, and it just spits out the answer of 12. That's option 1. Okay, option 2, you're sticking a slope-intercept. They're taking y, multiplying by 4, adding x, so we have to undo all that. So we're going to start off by subtracting x. Then divide by 4. So y equals 12 divided by 4 is 3. I can't divide x by 4, so I'm just going to leave it minus x over 4. But since I'm going to need the slope here, I'm going to put the invisible one in next to x. Okay, either way we do this should graph out correctly. So let's go back to the graph one more time. So, standard form, y-intercept of 3, x-intercept of 12. So on this graph, y-intercept of 3, and then unfortunately I got to extend my graph here, x-intercept of 12, so 10, 11, 12 would be right about there. Okay, so my line should be going like that. Okay, but just to double check, let's look at how it turned out for slope-intercept. On slope-intercept, y-intercept of 3, and then a slope of negative 1 over 4. So y-intercept of 3, right there, and rise negative 1, run positive 4. Rise negative 1, run positive 4. So that's going to go like this. Okay, and our solution to the system right there, which is 8, looks like 8, 1. All right.